Hey guys, I want to walk you through color mode, explain the basics. I want to explain swatches, the color picker, color modes, and some adjustment layers as well. So we'll work through that together. It'll be fun. Go ahead and open up Photoshop, please. And once you have the software open, we're looking for file 5-1. So I'm going to go File on the menu bar, Open. And I have already downloaded these files to my desktop, but if you haven't, please go to Schoology and do so. So I've got chapter 5 right there. I'm looking for 5-1. And it's a little boy with a basketball. We're going to rename this file. We're going to call it Basketball Star. So I'm going to go File, Save As, right there. And I'm trying to stay organized, so this is going in my desktop folder, 2020 Fall, Image Editing. I need to create a folder for chapter 5. You should have done that on the first day or two when I walked you through it. So chapter 5, I'm going to hit Create. That's selected, and we're going to call this Basketball Star. All right, so we're going to talk about color modes, what they are, what they do. So right now, to find out what color mode I'm in, I'm going to go to Image on the menu bar, and the first option there is Mode. So if I go to Mode, I can see I'm currently in an RGB color mode with 8 bits per channel. All right, so that is your standard color mode for Photoshop. That's your standard color mode for televisions, computers, screens, your phone, whatever it may be. So a mixture of reds, greens, and blues. Now, I've shown you the printer in the class, or some of you the printer. That's a CMYK. So you got yours, CMYK, those 4 colors mixed together, they're absorbed to paper, and the result is the picture you see. So that's cyan, magenta, yellow, and black are those colors. And there's color mode called Grayscale, and we'll get into that a little bit in this chapter. And then there's one called indexed colors. So I want to talk about this briefly, because many times throughout the semester you're going to download a picture from Google. And if it's in the indexed color mode, you can't really work with it in Photoshop. So let me show you the problem that exists. So if I change this to indexed color mode, I'll just go ahead and flatten the layers. Hit OK. All right. You'll notice not only did it flatten the layers to consolidate the layers to 1, but it changed it from background to index. And you're going to see this if you bring in a picture that's in an index color mode, and you'll go to try to unlock the background layer, and it won't let you do anything. And you will see this, I promise you. So if you ever run into this problem, just simply go to Image on the menu bar, go to Mode, and then change it to RGB color, and then it takes me back to a normal layer, which I can now work with from the tool panel. All right, I'm going to go back in time, because I want 2 layers to be there. I don't want a solid white layer. So I'm going to go to Window on the menu bar, History, and I'm going to go right back to there, back in time. So that's when the hoopster, the boy's on its own layer, and if I hide the background, you can see it's that checkerboard pattern, and that indicates a transparent background. That's important for this activity. That transparent background and this locking of the transparent pixels, we'll do a lot of that in projects in this chapter, and it's very important. So go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and show both layers, and I want to explain the color swatches first. So right now I don't have them on my screen, so I'm going to go to Window on the menu bar, and I'm going to go down to S's Swatches, and if I click it, you'll see it's going to put my color swatch, or there's my color picker, going to put my swatches there. I'm going to expand this out a little bit. All right, so we've got our RGB. I really don't like the way they've redesigned swatches in this new Creative Cloud. So I'm going to tend to use the color picker more, so I can go up and down my color ramp, get to the colors I want. And I'm also going to show you how to use your CMYK color values here to put in a specific color. This is what we do downstairs in our print shop to get the exact school colors when we're printing t-shirts or banners or whatever it may be. Okay, so that's that. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to hit cancel, and we're just going to go to I'm going to close this swatches. We're just going to work from the foreground color right there. So Window, should hide it for me. Timeline, No timeline, and I keep hitting the wrong button. And uncheck swatches, that should clean it up a little bit for me. All right, so I'm gonna put a background color on my background layer. Be sure to select your background layer because you're gonna dump a solid color there, and if you dump it on this layer, it's gonna create a problem going forward when we try to add a stroke or a tracing around the boy. So make sure your background layer is a layer that's active, and we're just gonna get our foreground color right there. And let's just go down to our yellows. I don't care what color yellow, pick one and hit OK. And then we're gonna get our paint bucket. So your paint bucket is about halfway down, right there, halfway down, and you'll see there's a little arrow there indicating there's other tools on that button. So if I hold that down, I can see I have the gradient tool there and the paint bucket tool and the 3D material drop tool. We will use these two tools extensively, but right now grab your paint bucket tool, and because yellow is the front color, that refers to foreground, that's what's in your paint bucket. And if I click on the white background, it dumps yellow. Now, that's pretty ugly yellow in my opinion, but we'll switch that up in a second. Let's get rid of these grid lines. So if you have grid lines showing, let's hide them. So I'm going to go View on the menu bar, go to Show, and uncheck Guides. They weren't grid lines, they were guides. I apologize. So I don't want yellow on that. In fact, let's go with our school color of navy. So this is our little cheat sheet we use down here. So that's our little cheat sheet. If I double click this box right there, oops, where'd my cheat sheet go? All right, so it's 100 for my cyan and 79 for my magenta. I'll have to come back. So if I go to right there, my percentages, 100 for my cyan, what was it, 79 for magenta, 12 and 59. So 12 for my yellow and 59 for my black. All right, that gets us that color, and that is our school color. So anything you see printed dark blue on t-shirts or banners, it's derived from those four colors there, 179, 12, and 59. And now I can just click that in the background, and that is the blue, the white knoll blue, navy, I guess is what they call it. Now, I don't like that color either, so let me pull up my cheat sheet reel here. Let's go with the gray. So it's 20, 14, 12, and 40. All right, so I'm going to go in there, 20, 14, 12 remains the same, and then 40. That's our gray, our school gray, and now if I dump that, that is the white knoll gray color we use on t-shirts in our print shop downstairs. So that's how you enter CMYK colors or specific color combinations. You can also do the same thing with your RGB. So if you have let's say you're working in graphic design, you have a client that gives you those three numbers, you can get that specific color. So if you want the exact Coca-Cola red they use, they would give you those three values there. All right, so let's leave that there. I'm going to grab the book because I'm kind of bouncing from notes and the book. Right here, this little black and white button, that's how you reset your foreground and background colors. So we'll use that a lot going forward when we're working with masks, because when we apply masks to an image, the colors black and white are the two colors that make masks effective. They show and hide pixels. So we'll use a lot of that going forward. Oh, the eyedropper tool. This is a handy tool to sample colors. So let's say I want to copy the color in the boy's shoe down there. So let me hit Command plus to zoom in on the boy's shoe. Let's say that light blue right there. Well, I can use my eyedropper tool. So if you count the buttons down, the top button always is 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th button down, you hold it down, you'll see there are 6 tools there. Eyedropper tool is the one we're going to use. So if you click eyedropper tool and I put the end of the eyedropper right on that light blue, you'll see that is the color that's put in my foreground. And if I zoom out and grab my paint bucket, I can dump that color in the background, and that helps create uniformity in color throughout the picture. So that's a good tool to use as well. let me show you your color slider. So let me go ahead and double click. Nah, we're not going to go there. It's window. Where's my color? Right there. If I click on color, show my color. Gradients pattern. Yeah, we'll do it that way. All right, we'll just use this. I'm not going to use the slider. Never used that very much anyway. So we got our paint bucket. We did the eyedropper. Swatches panel is right here. We talked about that. Let's say this color right here, I want to add that to my swatches panel. I should be able to click in a blank area right next to it. Oops, maybe it's right there. I do it. No, the old version let me do it. They made changes with the Adobe CC version that doesn't work the way CS6 does. So I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to, I can sample color if I need to use that. All right, creating a border. We'll be doing this in your summative along with some gradients as well. So what I want you to do, I'm going to lock that background layer, and I'm going to select the hoopster layer right there. Now, what we want to create is a solid stroke or tracing that goes around this boy. Right? So what I want to do is, let's try a couple different things. Let's go to this little circle, no, the FX button right there at the bottom of the layer panel. Go at FX. And the third option down is stroke. All right, so I want to apply a stroke. So let's apply a 4 pixel black stroke. And it's going to be positioned outside. Opacity is 100%. Remember, opacity it deals with the visibility. Is it 100% solid, or is it reduced, becomes somewhat see-through? So I'm going to take that up to 100%. Color is going to be black, and I'm going to hit OK. Okay, so that's my stroke going around the outside of the boy. Notice, anytime you use the FX at the bottom of the layer panel, it puts the effect on that layer. So that gives you the ability to show and hide a stroke around your object. Now let me go back a step, a couple steps when that's gone. So I hit Command and Z. Now there's another way you could do it. You can go to layer on the menu bar, where it's image on the menu bar. I just never use this way. I can't. Oh, it's adjustment stroke. Anyway, there is one of these menus up there that lets you put a stroke as well. The problem is it doesn't give you the ability to go back and make modifications after the fact. That's why I can't even find it anymore, because I don't use that method, because it gives you less flexibility. So the best method to use is FX, go stroke, and like I said, just 4 pixel black stroke. That's what we're left with around the boy, and then we show the background, and that's your stroke right there. All right, I'll do that. Book wants me to do something, but I'm going to do it with a supplemental activity later in the week that gives you a better demonstration of how this works. Let's see, create a gradient. All right, gradients are good. Now, pay attention to which layer you have selected over here. There's a hoopster layer, background layer. We need to make sure the background layer is active. All right, so let's go ahead and make that active. Let's actually hide this layer so we don't even make the mistake to work with it. So I've got my background layer active. And right now I have that blue color and white as my foreground colors, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and press down where my paint bucket is, right in the middle, and you'll see there's a gradient tool. So I'm going to click on the gradient tool, and when I do, you'll see the options bar up here. This first one, or this right here, apparently the last one I had was a circular rainbow selected. So let's go to the type of gradients right there with that drop-down menu. So I'm going to go to Basics, and I'm going to go with the very first option, which should be foreground to background color. That means the foreground color blended into the background color. So if I select that and just click over here somewhere, this right here means a linear gradient, so gradually pulls from one color to the other. So I'm going to go ahead and pull down from the top left to the bottom right with my linear gradient and see what I get. And let me switch colors here because there's not enough color difference between these two. Let me go red-white so you can see it better. So red, white are my foreground, background colors. Let's make this sure this is basics, linear, and I should be able to pull this at 100. This is why I had a problem. Pull that up to 100%. Now I pull it a linear gradient, and you can see it goes from red to white with the linear gradient. So that's your basic linear gradient. We've got a radial gradient right here, and if I pull from there, that's my radial gradient. Let's say I want the colors to be flipped and go backward, the other way. To do that, let me just switch these foreground, background color, switch the position. So if I hit this double-ended arrow and drag in that same spot I just did, I'm left with the inverse effect. Okay, so that's a radial gradient. This should be an angle gradient, I believe. So my angle gradient, I can pull from the top left to the bottom right, and it should give me a solid angle gradient right there. And there's some other options as well. Feel free to play around with these. I use gradients quite a bit when I'm dealing with masking techniques. It allows you to blend pictures pretty cool, pretty easily, and create some really good visual effects, especially for marketing materials and stuff like that. All right, so that's your gradient. Go ahead and let's put an angle gradient of red and white on this one. That's what we want. And then let's show the little boy with the basketball. All right, so that's a simple little color activity. We covered a lot, but we're going to be using these tools over and over again, so it becomes second nature to you. So I'm going to go ahead and hit File in the menu bar and hit Save As. And just to make sure it's in the correct location, it's in my Chapter 5 folder, saved as Basketball Star, so I'm just going to save again. And I'm good with that one. All right, now we're going to open up file 5-2. So go to File in the menu bar, Open, and let's go to Desktop, your Chapter 5, and 5-2 is right there. All right, 5-2 is the same picture, but we're going to deal with a different color mode. We're going to take this to a grayscale color mode, and then we're going to convert it back to the RGB color mode and add a little bit of color back. It's not super effective, but it does have you working with grayscale, which is good to know how to get there. So let's go to, first thing I want you to do is name this file. So we're going to go call this file, Save As, let's call it Basketball Star Colorize. So let's save to the correct location, which Desktop, 2020 Fall. This class, we're in Chapter 5, and we are calling this Basketball Star. Basketball Star Colorize, I apologize. I just capitalized the C so you'd see it. And I'm going to hit Save, and OK. All right, so this is a separate file from the previous one. All right, this one we are going to convert to grayscale. So if you remember me talking earlier today, you go to Image on the menu bar, you go to Mode, and we're currently in RGB. Let's change it to grayscale. And when we do, it's prompting us with this question. Do we want to flatten the layers? We're going to click Flatten, and then we're going to choose Discard the color information. Okay. All right, so now we're in grayscale. Let me pull up a little definition of grayscale I found on the internet for you. So if I pull this up, let me go maximize this and go to the top. All right, so these are different color modes in Photoshop, and right now we just went from RGB, which is this first one right here, and that's represented by millions of colors, and that's achieved through the blending of the reds, the greens, and the blues to get those varying color combination or colors. The print mode I talked about earlier is CMYK. There are 4 colors that blend together once they're absorbed by the paper or whatever media you print on. That's the what's visible to the human eye. Index color mode, that was the one that we couldn't work with in Photoshop, but we just went to grayscale mode, which is simply a blend of 256 variations of gray. So that's that one right there. And the bitmap mode is just 2 colors right there, number 5. So just wanted to show you that. You don't have to memorize this. Most everything we do is in RGB or CMYK. All right, so we're in grayscale right now, but we want to change this back to RGB. So go to, I'm in Chrome. Get me back to Photoshop, please. There you go. I want you to go to Image on the menu bar. I want you to go to Mode, and we're going to go back to RGB color. All right, so we're back in the RGB color mode. I'm going to go ahead and unlock my background layer by double-clicking it. All right, so now I need to add an adjustment I'm going to add a hue and saturation adjustment layer. to this because I need to get back to try to add a little color to this picture. So the best way to get to your adjustment buttons or adjustment layers is this little circle at the bottom. So you can get through your layer, you can get through the layer on the menu bar and go to adjustments, but we're going to go to, actually is it image on the menu bar? Yeah, it's image on the menu bar, adjustments, and then you can get to all your adjustment layers right there. But I prefer to use this method right here. So go to the little circle right there, click it, and we're going to add a hue and saturation. So click hue and saturation. Now, you need to select the little colorize button. So there, hit the colorize button, and then let's take our slider to 240. Now, some of you may not be able to add the hue and saturation adjustment layer. That's because you didn't go previously and change the mode back to RGB. So make sure you did that if you're not getting your hue and saturation sliders right there. So I'm going to take my hue to 240, so I'm going to type 240. And I'm going to take my saturation slider right there to 30. And my lightness slider to -10, so -10. And that looks good to me. So then I'm just going to collapse my properties panel with this hue and saturation adjustment layer. Alright, so we're going to add another adjustment layer to this. So we're going to go to the same button. So hit that little circle right there, and we're going to go to a brightness and contrast adjustment layer. And the brightness allows you to adjust the brightness of the picture. Contrast allows you to adjust the contrast of the picture. So let's take our brightness to 15, so 1.5. And our contrast to 30, please. And let's collapse the property panel associated with that layer. We're going to sharpen this as well. So we're going to go to the filter menu right here. We'll work a lot with the filter menu in future lessons and activities, but right now we're simply going to sharpen this image. So hold on, was I supposed to, let me just check one thing. I'm going to go ahead and select the layer 0 right there. All right. Now I'm going to go to filter on the menu bar. I'm going to go to sharpen. I'm going to choose sharpen more. And when I do, you'll see the clarity of the picture really sharpened up, almost to the point where we sharpen it up too much. So I'm going to kind of take that back a little bit. So I can go to edit on the menu bar. I can go to, I don't want to go to undo sharpen more because I like a little bit of the effect. I want to go to fade sharpen more right there. So I'm going to go to fade sharpen more. And I'm given this dialog box right there. So my opacity slider, let's take our opacity slider to 45. So 45%. So it'll give us 45% of that sharpen we just applied. So I hit OK, and that reduces some of that sharpening effect. Now we're going to go to our blend modes. So our blend modes are right here where it says normal on the top of the layer panel. Drop that down, and we'll be doing this where there's an activity called the Hulk. I'm not sure when I'm going to give it to you. It varies each semester, but it's where we bring in multiple layers and we use different blend modes to blend it together, really make it a cool scene. So for this activity, we're just going to choose the dissolve option right there, and it really doesn't do much. These blend modes are really meant for multiple pictures to be blended together. So doing what the book tells me, but you won't see much of a result there. All right, color balance. We can adjust the color balance of a picture as well. So you can get there by image on the menu bar, adjustments, but I want you to go back down here to the little circle at the bottom, and we're going to look for color balance. So where is my color balance? Am I blind? Oh, right there. I am blind. Sorry. All right, there's my color balance, and I'm given 3 sliders because I'm in, I have my red, green, and blue, or it's also giving you the CMY values there as well. So we're going to adjust our red right there. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to reference it as the RGB. We're going to go reds of 70. We're going to go magenta of -4, or green of -40, minus -40, and we're going to go blue of 5. So that's 70 minus 40 and 5. And collapse it, and that's now applied to the picture. All right, last thing we want to do is we're going to actually sample a color from a different image. So I need to open up that file, that image, that file. So I'm going to open up file, I believe it's 5-3, so I need to go to my desktop. And it's the cat you're all so familiar with. And I'm going back to the basketball star. I want to put it in this picture. So the software, or the people that developed this, put this lesson together, have made a selection around this boy's neckline. So we're gonna use that that selection they've created for us. So on the, let's see if I need to go to the hoopster layer right there. I'm gonna select the hoopster layer, and then I'm gonna go to select on the menu bar. Select on the menu bar, and if you look almost to the bottom, one of the last options is load selection. I'm going to choose load selection, and I'm prompted with this box right here. So document is the basketball star, and we hit the channel, it's the collar. All right, so there's a selection of the collar, and we hit OK. And it makes a selection of the collar. Now, you could simply select that collar with one of your selection tools and achieve the same result, and the next steps would be the same. So now we got, now we're going to go to the cat. I'm sorry, it's been a few months since I've done this. All right, so we go to the cat right there. What we're going to do is we're going to sample the color in his eyes. Sample the color in his eyes. So go ahead and get your magic wand tool right there, the fourth button down, magic wand. And let's take our tolerance to about 5, please. So at the top, tolerance about 5. And then you're simply going to sample the yellow in his eye. And if I zoom in, you can see that's the yellow that is sampled. Just making a sample. Now we're going to go back to the original basketball star. Zoom in to this collar right here. And we're going to go to Image on the menu bar. So go to Image. Let's go to Adjustments, and there should be something towards the bottom called Match Color. So I want Image, Adjustments, Match Color. So I'm matching the color of that collar, and I'm going to be prompted with this. And target is the basketball star, so this is where the color is going to go. And I need to specify the source right there. So let me go basketball, it's that image right there. And I hit OK. And you'll see it sourced that color from the other document. All right, that's it for this activity. Go ahead and hit save on this file. So I'm going to go to save. And I can now close it. I can close this one, I don't need it. And yes, I want to save basketball star colorized. And I do not want to save this one. All right, that's it guys. Hope you had fun. Take care.